To address this, let me first invite President Buhari of Nigeria. As you all know, he has had a long and dedicated record of public service. He's leading his country at a very pivotal moment. Nigeria was the one country, or the one very important country, that at the African Union Summit stepped back and said, hold on, let's make sure we bring our population along with us as we sign a free trade agreement, which has a wisdom to it, which might well prove even more strengthening of the African free trade area in the end. President Buhari, it's a great honor to have you here with us today, and could I invite you to come and make your opening remarks? Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation to address this Commonwealth Business Forum on the subject of making business easier between Commonwealth countries. I am honored to be in your midst today to share my views on matters related to business, prosperity, and the welfare of our Commonwealth community. This edition of the Commonwealth Business Forum convenes at a historic point in the Commonwealth and at a critical moment in the global economy. So, before we share these experiences on how we can make business easier between our countries, it would be appropriate to take a look at our Commonwealth and briefly take stock of the state of the global economy and the relationship with our domestic economies. Lessons abound. These lessons are as global as they are domestic, including those of our individual countries. I will therefore share the Nigerian experience. Commonwealth 25 is historic because this is the largest gathering of leaders of the Commonwealth. Here in our Commonwealth, we are endowed by the diversity of 53 nations. We are bound by common values. We are working together to promote a common agenda across a number of areas. The values that bind us are of those of democracy, the rule of law, good governance, peace, and security. We are committed to these values, and we believe that if we adhere to these values, we shall enhance human welfare and condition of the people in the countries where we have been elected to serve. In the global economy, the macroeconomic figures are positive. The numbers show that growth is strengthening. In its most recent estimates, the International Monetary Fund upgraded its global GDP forecast to 3.9% for 2018 and 2019. Trade and investment are driving the current growth momentum. Credit and money supply are easier globally and within countries. Accentuating the uncertainty and anxiety are complex, ongoing changes in economic alliances and partnerships and trading relationships. Certainly and predictably are in question. Geopolitical tensions are rising. In developing countries, labor and industry are concerned about distortions in trade policies that result in subsidized products which have contributed to exports dumped in developing economies. These have had effects in the form of job losses. Growth is not yet inclusive and remain elusive. There are downside risks about disruptions to trade and investment. Global and regional markets have been considerably rattled by the risk of trade wars. Concerns over climate change are unabated and are increasing. There are tasks and duties on all sides. I am glad that the 25th Commonwealth is looking to adopt a communiqué and declaration on Commonwealth connectivity agenda on trade and investment to boost multilateral trade, intra-Commonwealth trade, and economic growth within the Commonwealth. To make business easier amongst countries in the Commonwealth, we must therefore ensure that markets remain open and undistorted. This is why I believe that making business easier in the Commonwealth is a shared responsibility for us all. Nigeria believes that making business easier across the Commonwealth will resolve around a number of issues. Firstly, trade and investment facilitation to generate resources for sustainable development. 2, ease of doing business. 3, regional integration that expands markets with safeguards against injurious trade practices from third parties. 4, more inclusive growth with the empowerment of women and youth. 5, providing a platform for small and medium enterprises. 6, a radical expansion of human capital for the 21st century, what is now known as knowledge economy. Hard and software infrastructure for 21st century digital economy to boost e-commerce, increase efficiency, solve developmental problems, and enhance cyber security. The foundation of prosperity and the wealth of nations are rooted in trade and investment, accompanied by constant domestic adaptation to sharpen our comparative advantages by creating an enabling environment for business. This is why the theme of this Commonwealth Business Forum is so important. Nigeria believes that the Commonwealth should be a champion for trade and investment facilitation. In November last year in Abuja, Nigeria, in partnership with the Economic Community of West African States, convened a high-level trade and investment facilitation forum for development. The Abuja statement from this forum, deepening Africa's integration in the global economy through trade and investment facilitation for development, has become a global and multilateral reference point. We believe that the Commonwealth should lend its support to these types of activities as a sound model for marketing business easier amongst Commonwealth countries. To underscore Nigeria's commitment to spreading prosperity through the Commonwealth, in the first 6 months, Nigeria co-chaired with the United Kingdom the UK All-Party Parliamentary Group for Trade Out of Poverty. The report of this Commonwealth Inquiry report was launched on 3rd April 2018. Nigeria affirms its commitment to the principal message from this Commonwealth Inquiry Group that Nigeria co-chaired with the United Kingdom. The surest, most sustainable way to lift millions of people out of poverty across the Commonwealth is through boosting trade and investment. We believe that we, as leaders in the Commonwealth, should grasp the opportunity and agree to a major new focus on trade and investment for inclusive development. Nigeria organized on the 17th April 2018 a UK-Nigeria Trade and Investment Forum at the London Stock Exchange. I urge the Commonwealth Business Forum to join Nigeria and prospective investors in the Nigerian economy to participate in the forum. The ongoing Nigerian experience to this end is illustrative. An enabling environment for business was and remains one of my priorities as president. We are undertaking deep and extensive ease of doing business reforms. The first stage of these reforms are being staged under a 60-day national action plan. Stage 1 focuses on 8 areas that make it easier to register businesses, obtain construction permits, get credit, pay taxes, have electricity made across borders, facilitate entry and exit of people, and register property. Excuse me. These reforms were coordinated in an executive order. Transparency and efficiency across government was mandated and is made enforceable. These reforms have resulted in improvements, reduction in cost and time, and greater transparency, particularly for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Stage 2 is focused on 11 areas, improving on stage 1. This stage also covers new areas, including contract enforcement, simplifying the procurement process, and trading within Nigeria. Action in this and subsequent stages will evolve entirely around reputational issues. In acknowledgement of efforts underway, Nigeria was moved up 24 places to 145th in the World Bank's ranks of doing business. Report published in November last year, Nigeria was also recognized as one of the top 10 most improved economies in the world. However, we know that there is much more work to be done. We are now in the next stage. This is work in progress. Nigeria's ease of doing business reforms are vital across structural reforms that will enable our country to attract and retain investment, connect to global value chains, and maximize the benefits of an open, rules-based economy. Some of our lessons may be useful for the Commonwealth family. Nigeria's doors are open to business. Nigeria is and shall remain an open trading economy, deepening regional integration governed by the rule of trade law. But if we are to make business easier between our countries and going beyond the Commonwealth, we must avoid trade wars and work collectively to preserve the global trading order, support regional initiatives, as well as support domestic structural reforms that focus on the priorities of individual countries. In conclusion, Nigeria believes that if we are in a collective Commonwealth commitment to the ease of doing business, we shall spur growth, multiply wealth, and expand employment opportunities. These objectives will be accelerated by trade and investment facilitation. In the current global economic and trade policy landscape, Nigeria believes that the Commonwealth, because of its composition and experience, is uniquely positioned to grasp the opportunity to implement bold measures for trade and investment facilitation, hence making business easier between Commonwealth countries has the potential to generate much needed resources for sustainable development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Buhari, for sharing with us a very ambitious agenda that you have for your country, but also for reminding us very compellingly that ease of doing business and trade policy need to be underpinned by sustainable development at home. And I think you've made that case both in words today and in your policies, so thank you for that. So I'm going to take a flurry, so if you could each be nice and brief so we can really crowdsource some ideas. Do we have some roving microphones? Great, so if you could bring to this gentleman here, just a very brief comment. I'm going to be rude and stop you after one sentence so that we can collect all those 8 comments that are waiting.
Yes, I think His Excellency the President set the platform because we have 53 countries. The only way we can make progress is through regional cooperation. And I think the way to do it is what Mr. Nazir has said. I think he has made excellent recommendations. What I'd like to say is that we have Commonwealth associations in most of our countries which meet once or twice. What we need are Commonwealth business councils in every country and also at the regional level.
Brilliant.
Linked up to the Global Commonwealth Forum. Thank you.
So regional Commonwealth business councils. Just behind you, sir, if you pass the microphone back. And if you could just identify yourself very briefly.
Good afternoon, Roger Latchman from South Africa. One of the greatest, well, by the way, I must, Mr. Nazir, concur totally with your points that you've raised. One of the greatest impediments that I found is that the visa requirements is obviously a huge challenge for doing business across the Commonwealth countries, certainly in the UK. And the other challenge that I had was opening a bank account in the UK for our business. After 18 months, we finally had that resolved, but it was a huge challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. If we can go to the back there. Great, and we're going to work forward from there. Yes, you, sir.
My question is for the President of Nigeria, my president. My name is Anthony Okolo, and I'm in the private sector in Nigeria. And it's specifically towards the Northeast. While we appreciate the efforts to achieve the security that we have, we as a people know that the job is not completely done and that we need to provide investments into that area to be able to consolidate those gains. So my question is, what is your government doing, Mr. President, to facilitate and ease investments in those areas because our people desperately need it?
Thank you. And then just in front, if we can keep the microphone coming forward, the lady.
My question to Mr. Nazir, or a comment, he rightly said that the government should not get involved in the businesses. So is there a possibility that the government can empower the council, as someone mentioned, that there should be councils who should be authorized to go ahead and, conclude the business or the trade agreements instead of waiting for the governments?
Thank you. And then moving up to the lady in front. Yep.
Hi, my name is Perez Ochieng, and I'm in the food industry. And yesterday we had brilliant discussions in the Agriculture Forum. So my question and suggestions is to President Buhari, and this is around regulations and standards in food and agriculture. I'd love to see a Commonwealth that is enabling all the Commonwealth countries, whether they're in the developing nations or in the developed countries, that would be able to develop new products or create new products that they can trade And so I'd like to see an institution that enables a link between R&D, knowledge transfer, and especially learning from what has worked in Europe when it comes to academia, research, and link with the industry, so that we are able to now pilot new initiatives that enable us to trade in the agriculture and the group success.
Thank you very much. And the gentleman in front, yep. Yes.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, President Buhari, I've just got a question. How do we make youth empower? My name is Farai from Zimbabwe, from an organization called Youth in Energy. And then the question is, how do we make youth empowerment more practical? Because it seems like in most African countries, it's a tick box exercise that is presented and looks glossy, but on the ground, the youths are not benefiting. Thank you.
Great. Look, we've crowdsourced quite a few ideas. Okay, one more, just from the very back. Person in the hat at the very back. Oh, yes, sir, you've got the microphone. Take it.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Chame Tien, I'm from Cameroon. My question is addressed to His Excellency, President of Nigeria, Buhari. A few weeks behind, Africa was anxiously waiting for the outcome of the Continental Free Trade Area. It was a shocking wave, to me in particular, a trade specialist, to notice that Nigeria, on a Sunday, 3 days to the commissioning of the foundation for the Continental Free Trade Area, retracted after negotiating and even vying for the secretariat. So, Mr. Buhari, I wish to know your own stakes now that 44 countries have commissioned to the free trade area without Nigeria. What are your expectations and what is your vision for a common market on the continent? Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to give the panelists a chance to leave you with one takeaway thought from this session. President Buhari, there's great interest in your thoughts on many issues, on investments in the Northeast, on the Continental Free Trade Agreement. Feel free to take your pick, but would you like to take the microphone and leave us with a final thought from you? I think it's probably already turned on. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for the observations. I will start with one on the Northeast. All the questions, I think, will reflect about Nigeria's preparedness to accept investment and secure the confidence of those who are going to invest or those who are already there. I believe for those who are following us closely, they could recall on the political campaign we conducted and the success we scored was based on three things. First, securing the country, and in particular, the person who mentioned the Northeast. The so-called Boko Haram was occupying a large chunk of that part of the country, and they caused a lot of damage to the infrastructure, especially educational and health. And then the economy. We have a very young population. Our population is estimated conservatively to be 180 million. This is a conservative one. More than 60% of the population is below the age of 30. A lot of them haven't been to school, and they are claiming, that Nigeria has been an oil-producing country, therefore they should sit and do nothing and get housing, healthcare, education free. But let me tell you that recently, my Minister of Education or for Information was constrained to answer a question when people accuse the administration of doing nothing. He said, let Nigerians be reminded what position we were before May 2015, what condition we are now, and what we have achieved between then and now. And I think people were impressed with the answer. The security, we have done quite well. Economy, we have done very well, especially in agriculture, by providing soft loans, and the guarantee is just you have to belong to a certain locality and you have got land. You don't have to go to the banks, you know, and bring a physical collateral. So I think a lot is being done. And on the security side, certainly, both in the northeast and in the south-south, there has been an improvement on the security of the country. And this morning, before just I came here, I saw Shell Group. They came and saw me. They are preparing to invest $15 billion, you know, in Nigeria. They came and broke the news to me. So really, we are not doing too badly.